Holland, ladies and gentlemen, and students. I feel very honoured to be invited to be your guest speaker at this prize giving. What you don't know is that I was initially invited to do this in 2020. And I stood here, the marquee was empty. So it was put forward to 2021, and now finally here we are, and it's happening in 2022. And I hope you feel that the event was well worth waiting for. And it's a privilege to play a part in a special day which acknowledges the tremendous achievements of all the students within the classroom and beyond it. And I was very pleased that Mr. Hopkinson started by asking for a round of applause for all of them, because they are all special. And every one of them is good at something, and I'm sure that this is a school which helps to bring it out and celebrate it. Watching a range of presentations at an event like this, I find a very positive and uplifting experience. And I know it's long, and I know it's hot, and I know that for the pupils it might seem as if it goes on forever. I've sat in a lot of prize givings and I know how it can be. But it is positive and it is uplifting because it is such a celebration. And it is about the students. It's about you. This is your day. And it's a recognition of what you've achieved in the presence of your parents, your families, teaching staff, support staff, school leaders, governors, and guests. But it is about you. And I've spoken at quite a number of prize givings over the years. I was ahead for 10 years, and we had 2 a year because we did the lower years and the older years separately. So I spoke in 20 of these events in my own school, and I have fortunately been invited to several others. So I've done this quite a lot, and I always feel that the principal audience should be the pupils, that actually it's the students I'm talking to. And it's the students that I want to encourage to think about 1 or 2 things that they might not otherwise have thought about, and that maybe planting seeds, some of the things I say will make a difference to some of them. And when I walked in and saw that the students were all there and there was going to be a bit of a Wimbledon experience going on here if I tried to talk to you and try to draw you in. So well done to all the students on all you've achieved and all you've contributed to Hill House this year, and that's academically, but it's also in the huge range of opportunities outside the classroom, which I know you have here, which I know are important to the culture of Hill House. But I do want to say a huge thank you to the staff, because without your support, the children couldn't have achieved this. I want to thank the governors, because what they do quietly and in a voluntary capacity behind the scenes enables the school to be all it is. And I also want to say thank you to the parents, because I'm sure you realise that without your love and support, your sons and daughters wouldn't be able to accomplish all they do. So this is a celebration for everyone. So as I said, I was head of a school for 10 years. I loved headship. It isn't without its challenges, but actually I found headship joyful. I really felt rewarded and fulfilled in headship. And I'm actually going to talk about leadership today and ask you to think a little bit about leadership. The kind of leaders you admire, the kind of leader you might one day hope to be, and how you can get there. Some of you may decide that you want to teach at some stage. I always remember being in a parents' evening when a girl's parents leant across the desk and said to me, "She's talking about going into teaching, but we think she can do better than that." Seemingly unaware of the irony of saying that to me in that situation, but I rose above it beautifully. I love teaching. I think it's a fantastic job. In terms of your capacity to make a difference to the lives of other people, it is a very significant profession. But one of the things I'm aware of is that the generation of young people today will probably have quite different careers from people of my generation. I chose to be a teacher in the late 70s, and I was a teacher for 30 years, and since I stopped being a head, I've done quite a lot of leadership development work in education. But I can see that young people today are much more likely to have portfolio careers. They're much more likely to have a wide range of professional experiences. So they may teach for a while. They may decide to work overseas for a while. They may run their own business for a while. It seems that this generation has a wider range of opportunities, a wider number of options in terms of the careers, the professions that they might like to pursue. And I think that's brilliant, and it's our job to help ready them for that. I enjoyed being a leader in education. I found leading energising and purposeful. I think schools like this are very good at nurturing and bringing out the potential of young people, helping them to be their best inside the classroom and beyond it, building their confidence, building their capacity to take on responsibility if that's an opportunity they choose to take, both at school and after they've left. And I know that many of the young people before me today will go on to be leaders in a wide range of fields. So I just want to ask you to think about this. In what kind of professional arena might you want to be a leader? I know you have a range of talents. So some of you might want to go into education. Some of you might want to go into medicine. Some of you might want to go into law. You may be more interested in the arts, in music, in media. Sport may be what lights your fire. And in those and many other areas, you may have the opportunity to be a leader. And I think as a leader, you have an opportunity to influence others for the good. I want to share with you a couple of quotations this afternoon. First of all, something from a book called The Unexpected Leader by Aisha Small. It's a really interesting book. It's called The Unexpected Leader because it talks about what happens when you're suddenly catapulted into a leadership position that you weren't expecting. That can happen. You're not seeking leadership, but you find you are called upon to lead. She has a lovely phrase, something like, you find yourself with big shoes to fill and you didn't even realise you were going to try them on. So even if you don't actively seek leadership, sometimes it comes your way. And this is what she said. Sometimes people think that leadership is about titles. Head of this, director of that. In those roles, you are certainly paid to have influence. But true influence is about whose behaviour you can affect, not just what a plaque on an office door says. So it's about having an effect on other people's lives. And Cory Booker, who was a US senator when he said this, said, leadership is not a position or a title, it is action and example. So what you do, what you choose not to do, and how you model leadership. At the time when he said that, the US Senator, Trump was in the White House, and I always wondered what Cory Booker was thinking about that. Leadership is not a position or a title, it's action and example. And I'm not going to say anything about politics at the moment in Britain, except that it's making me think a lot about leadership. Good leadership, poor leadership. How leaders actually win trust and build respect, and people follow them. So, if you do lead within the workplace, it generates a sphere of professional influence which can enable you, working with and through others, to achieve even more than you can as an individual. What we accomplish alone can be very impressive, but it is invariably with limits. What you can achieve by coordinating the efforts of a group of people, perhaps a large group of people, can be almost boundless, I think. And many of you may not be interested in leadership in a professional arena, but you may be involved in leadership outside work in a voluntary capacity. I've mentioned school governors. That's a really good example of people who show leadership because they think it's the right thing to do and they're called upon to serve. So, how has Hill House prepared you to take on leadership roles in the future? What opportunity have you had to show leadership already? Think of the ways in which you have developed your leadership capacity during your time here and how you've been encouraged and supported to do that. It may be something as simple as working in groups in the classroom. It may be in clubs and societies, on the sports field, in music. I've heard some fantastic music today, in drama. You may have had the opportunity to show leadership in activities where you've been raising money for charity. I know there's a strong tradition of debating and public speaking here, and that will require leadership. Some of you have been able to get involved in the Duke of Edinburgh's award. For some of you, that may be in the future. Then that is a brilliant opportunity to develop as a leader. And some of you will have been involved in community projects, young enterprise, youth council, any one of the many different areas of school life that we're celebrating today. Now, Mrs. Ferns has mentioned this already, but I know COVID has presented its challenges when it comes to those trips and events and extracurricular activities. It's been more difficult for schools in the last 2 years to offer some of the traditional activities they're very proud of, but actually it hasn't been impossible. I have been amazed at how schools like this one have reimagined some of their events and activities in the most creative and original ways, often offering virtual enrichment when face-to-face contact just wasn't possible. And now, as we move beyond COVID, I really hope that schools are able to re-establish, reinvest in, and even strengthen those activities beyond the classroom, which enable young people to find new talents, to feel good about themselves. That is so important. Every one of you is good at something, at least one thing, something that you can feel good about yourself, that area. Often extracurricular activities cater for that really well. Learning and building your skills outside the classroom just as you were learning and building your skills within it. So think about any leadership opportunities you've had already and what you've gained from helping others to achieve their best, pulling together the work of a team or a group of any description, solving problems, creating something, moving things forward. I hope you take pride in your developing leadership skills and that you value how well they will serve you when you do leave school and take your place in the world. Because you are the leaders of the future. You are the leaders. You are the politicians, the executive directors, the teachers, the head teachers, the surgeons. They will come from your generation. And I am confident that when you do assume leadership responsibility, either in your professional lives or in your personal lives, whatever your chosen field, you will lead well, with strength, integrity and self-assurance, because I believe that your time here has prepared you well for that. Lastly, I want you to think about the leaders you know, especially those you admire, and what they have taught you about leadership. John Dunford, who was the General Secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders, which I was a member of as a deputy and a head, said that he thought leaders needed 4 H's. I want you to remember the 4 H's. He said they need hope. They need to lift people, not grind them down. And they can only do that if they have and communicate hope. They need humanity. They need to care about people, the people they work with and through, the people they interact with. A doctor who doesn't care about their patients will not be a good doctor, no matter how knowledgeable they are, how intelligent they are. A teacher who doesn't care about their children won't be a good teacher, even if they're brilliant in their subject. A head teacher needs to care about the pupils and the staff and the parents and the governors if they're to be successful at their job. So humanity is the second H, and humility is the third. Leaders aren't perfect, and they shouldn't behave as if they are. We all need a degree of humility. We need to know that we have limitations, we will make mistakes, and people don't expect their leaders to be infallible. They expect them to be honest. So when you make a mistake, you admit it. You apologise, and you pledge to do better next time. So you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. And lastly, the last H is humour. Because there are times when we have to laugh. There are times when we have to laugh at ourselves. And humour can make you more human, more approachable, more like someone that people can connect with. So, think about leadership, think about the 4 H's. Hope, humanity, humility, and humour. Where are you strong? Where are you still developing? You have to build resilience as a leader, and you need courage. You have to do the right thing, which may not always be the easy thing. But it's well worth it. And have faith in your capacity to step up. Have faith that your education has prepared you for leadership in the future. Interestingly, I went to a talk a few years ago where an MP was speaking about leadership, and one of the audience said, when it came to questions, I have a son who'd like to go into politics. What advice would you give him? And this MP said, bravely, I thought, I actually feel a bit suspicious of people who want to be politicians. She said, you should want to change something, and you see politics as the route to do it. It's not about the power, it's about the difference you will make. Make a difference. Go out there, use your leadership skills well, step up to responsibility in whatever field, in your personal life as well as your professional life, and thrive and help other people to thrive, and enjoy the experience, because there is joy in leadership. Congratulations on all you've achieved. Carry on learning, being receptive, curious, passionate. Good luck to those of you who are leaving the school and embarking on the next stage of the great adventure. I hope you all make the most of every opportunity. Thank you all for listening.